All right, everybody, welcome back. Hope you're having a great day. We're going to continue with our forks. Last week we got our holes machined in the hooks and finished cutting out the top to make it look like a hook. And this week went ahead and pre-cut some of these parts. This 1 inch it eats up a lot of time cutting and cleaning it up. This was pretty pitted, so went ahead and machined the top of it off flat, make it look decent, got rid of most of the pitting. But this is a brace for the center of the bottom rail. It goes between the two hooks. And this is the brace for the outside of the bottom rail. These are our little blocks, of course, that will go right here for stops. We've talked about those. And these are gussets for the top rail. They'll go something like that. So we got a few parts cut, but we got more parts to cut. So we're going to get to work on that. All right, so we'll give these probably just a rough cleanup. Then we'll take them in there and we'll bore a 2 5/8 hole in the middle. And what that's going to be is a little reinforcement plate for these hooks. It'll end up getting welded. We'll cut them in half. And it'll be just like that. That's what that's going to be. Well, if you're thinking, hell, you cut too many if you're going to cut them in half, well, you're right. But I'm going to build some more attachments in the future, so I figured this is one thing that's easy to make extras of for later. We can stack them all up and drill them at one time. Boom, done. Got a bunch of them. That ought to hold it. And we'll take them back in there to the mill, get after it with the angular cutter. All right, so we got a piece of 1 inch flat bar in the vise here. And what this is going to be is all the pad eyes that the hydraulic cylinders are hooked to. So before we cut them all out, we might as well drill the holes. This is another good use for the mill. On a drill press, you'd have to move it 4 times, but on here you can just drill them all and never have to unclamp it. So it's pretty nice having this thing around. The more we do, the more uses we find for it. So the pin that goes through there, it makes exactly 1 inch, which is kind of impressive, honestly, for a Chinese cylinder and a Chinese pin. But I don't have a 1 inch angular cutter. So we're going to take a 15/16 through there, and then we'll run a boring bar through there and take it out to maybe 5/1000 over 1 inch or something for just a little bit of clearance. We want a good tight fit, but we don't want to have to hammer it in either. So that's what we're doing. Pretty nice hole down through there. That's the same size as the top of our hook. All right, well, we got the tractor in here and we hung the hooks on the coupler because we were talking about the best way to hold these things square and all that. We talked about just welding them down to the table like we did the coupler, but a little bit worried that the table may not be quite flat enough to keep the pins in line. We could get them level and square with each other, but if one was just slightly higher than the other, then these pins aren't going to want to go in there right. So what we ended up deciding was to just hang them on the coupler and let the pins line themselves up. And we're going to tack in the center brace and maybe just cut a piece of scrap to go across the top to hold it all together. And then we can take it off and set it on the table and maybe tack it down and do the rest of our welding. Got everything tacked together here with it on the quick coupler. Worked pretty good. Got the center brace in. Just took this piece of pipe, just tacked it up in here to hold the top where it needs to be. Got everything square. So we're good to go. Tacked it down to the table. Hopefully it'll hold it in place. So we also tacked the stop blocks in while we had it on there. That way they're where they need to be. Next, this heavy sucker right here. This is the bottom rail for the forks. So we're going to clean it up, get it tacked up, start tacking everything together. And once we get everything tacked up, then we'll be ready. We'll have to do some preheating and all kinds of good stuff to weld this up. So that's kind of where we're at. Keep at it. All right, so we got these things tacked on here. We're honestly not sure what we should be using as a reference. We ended up using this flat here. We started using this ridge, but we decided against it. So we're gonna go grab a fork and carry it over here and try to slide it on there and see how it fits. We want it to be a good fit because it's gonna be hydraulic, so if the fork if it has room to tilt, it's liable to bind up. So I think we want a pretty snug fit on here. So let's grab a fork, see if it fits. Let's cross our fingers. Ooh. Feels pretty good. Yeah, I think that's pretty dang good. I think it's perfect. All right. A little lubrication on that sucker. Well, let's get it off here before it breaks our tacks. I'd like to know your business. Awesome. All right, well, I think we're ready to do some welding. We got everything tacked up. Just the top gussets. Just the bottom one. There's a look at the inside one. So we're going to start heating this thing. We're going to try to get it up to around 500. It's not going to be too easy. We may just work kind of a side at a time. You know, the heat's going to soak in, but we may not be able to maintain anywhere near 500, but we'll see. So we're going to start heating it up, see what we can get, and do some welding. All right, so we got it all welded out. We got one of our ends on here. The pad eye for the fork will weld onto this, and it'll keep from pushing the fork off the end. But before we put the other one on, obviously we need to put the forks on. We'd have issues if we don't. But this thing is going to get out of control on us, I think. We have forks hanging off of it on jacks or whatever. So what we decide we're going to do, spin the table around, we'll hook it up to the tractor and put the forks on it, and we don't have to worry about it falling off and killing us. And probably more or less just finish it out hanging off the tractor. So that's the plan.
Yep, sounds like a good plan to me. Let's do it.
All right, before we lose all our heat.
Oop.
All right. All right, so we got our other end welded on, our forks are on. Now we're gonna weld on the pad eyes that the cylinders will mount to so that it can slide the forks in and out. I think we've got them located where they need to be. So we're gonna hope for the best. It's all pretty tight. I need a clear lens. I can't see nothing.
This way's come up a little bit on the.
What is it?
It needs to come up a little.
All right, well, I thought we were done welding on this thing, but Bub decided we need a bar across here to keep stuff from rolling over the back. So
Yeah, there's no telling what crazy people might do.
yeah, I had left these long, you know, possibly for visibility, you know, to see the end of them, but I don't think that's really necessary. So we had talked about just cutting them off, rounding off the top here above the rail. But then he decided we need this. So we're gonna cut a couple of pieces. I found some 1/2x4 flat bar. Just whack a couple pieces out and weld them in here, and I think that'll do it for the welding.
Yeah. It's gonna make all the difference.
Yeah. Make it look more substantial. All right, y'all stand back, folks. It's about to get Western.
Yeah, you ain't lying. Holy crap.
All right, well, I think we about got it whooped. Got our ends cleaned up here, looking good. Got our hydraulic cylinders pinned up. So that's what they'll look like with the fork slid all the way in. We still need to get some hydraulic hoses made so we can test that out, but it's kind of hard to get the hoses without having anything to measure off of. But I think that's it for the welding, fabrication. So now we just got to get some measurements on these hoses. So it's going to have to run from this port all the way over here, put a T in, connect these two together, and then it'll come with a one hose up to the quick connect. Same thing with these two. These will come over here to a T somewhere, and then one hose will run over here up to the quick connect. So we're gonna get us some measurements so we can get some hoses made. Call it 10 inches. What you think? Just doing both of this one.
I'd give it an inch or so, just because you might want to put a ring or something.
All right, so we got our hoses. So I think we have everything we need to hook it up. Got some T's here to tie the pressure side and the return side together. And I went ahead and cut a couple of little pieces of flat bar to weld inside the hooks over there to keep them up in that V we cut so they're not sliding down and riding against the cylinders. So get these welded in and we'll start hooking up these hoses and find out if the forks are going to slide the way they're supposed to.
Yep. Not a whole lot left. Almost ready to try this thing out for the last time. All right, so we got all our hoses ran. Links didn't work out quite like we wanted. By the time we added the fittings and everything in, you can see that we're long. So we'll have to get this redone. What we're gonna end up doing, ordered a fitting, just do away with this hose and tie straight in here, but not a big deal. Work for right now, so we can try this thing out. But everything is everything's hooked up, tightened up. Holmes went to get the tractor, so we'll bring it in, hook it up, see if it works.
All right, time to see how they slide. Hopefully they don't just bind up.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, she's working.
Yep, works like a champ. Put a little lubrication on that sucker, it'll be smooth as can be.
Yep. Yeah, and Bub had a pretty good idea for what to do with these instead of just tying them up. I figured I'd get one of those big plastic bread ties you can get at the Home Depot. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's just like a bread tie and you can twist them up. But he suggested getting a pair of quick connects and weld them down here. That way when you unhook the quick coupler, you could just plug these in, keep them safe and secured, keep dirt out of them and all that. So I like that idea, so I think that's what we'll do. So I think that's the last thing we got to do. We'll weld those two things down here and this thing is done.
Yep. Finally have your first working attachment.
Yep, finally. There we go. Plenty cool. Now we see if welding these on destroyed them or not. Let's see. Damn, that zip tie's sharp.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Beautiful.
All right, guys. Well, we got the quick connect fittings welded on up here. That'll keep those hoses out of the dirt, keep them from getting pinched somewhere. So really good idea, and it works out real well. But other than that, this thing is done. Works pretty good. And all that's left basically is some paint and lubricate these rails, and it'll be 100%. But that's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber, we'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel, and then go down in the comments and type subscribe. That'll get you entered into our monthly giveaways. And congratulations to this month's giveaway winner of the Husky 119-piece mechanics tool set. Your name's in the description below. And then also announcing our next giveaway. And this month we'll be giving away a 5-piece channel lock plier set. I've always been a big fan of channel lock pliers, so if you want to check those out, we'll put a link in the description for that. So make sure and subscribe to the channel and type subscribe in the comments, that way you don't miss out on that. But that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for watching.